Good evening and welcome to the Cheese Room. My name is John, and tonight we are going to be talking about Spurs against Luton, the return after the international break after Gareth Southgate brought everybody's expectations down that England will ever win the Euros or any competition ever again, down to about zero. So, good job by him. Tonight, Jack and I are going to co-host. Bit of a double team effort. How are you, Jack?
I'm doing great. It's a beautiful day here in East Coast of the U.S. It's spring is definitely upon us. It's bright and sunny after a couple of weeks of miserable cold rain. I felt like I was in the UK for a while, but now everything's looking really bright and beautiful. And I'm excited to get back after a long, boring international break where the U.S. did actually win the League of Nations against Mexico, but that's getting old hat now. So I'm excited for the Spurs to actually take the field tomorrow.
I did notice the US, I think it was under 19s or 18s beat England. I was just having a scan for all the England youth results earlier mainly to see how many Spurs players have been involved. And I think a Spurs player scored one of the England goals. But there you go. Next, Manny's been on quite a lot recently, probably because it's accounts time of the year and he loves the accounts. And we're going to come to a little bit of that because Spurs still have not published their accounts, even though we're 2 days away from the end of the deadline period. So it'll be interesting to see whether they come out. Stephen, how are you?
I'm good, mate. I'm good. It's Good Friday. Had a nice day. Saw Gene too. Went to a spa. Got in the sauna. Didn't do anything else. Went for a walk. I got some wine. So life is pretty good.
What wine do we have this evening, Stephen?
We have a white wine from Morrison's, and I don't really know much more than that.
I thought you were going to give some sort of.
Okay.
I thought you were about to bring out some, like a long-winded draft. Oh, it's got some oaky flavors from chestnut trees, and no, it's Morrison's own brand.
Pretty much. It's not bad.
And obviously, Jack, Gibbo, and myself, we work quite hard at trying to get guests into the show and trying to get different people. And obviously, this person is the lead of a really good channel, 23k subscribers, Spurs Talk Show. But as Bugsy Malone wasn't available, we've got Sean. How are you, Sean?
Yeah, no, I'm good. Yeah, it's been a long week. Stressful week, but I can't wait to get back to Tottenham tomorrow. Looking forward to going. Looking forward to, singing loud and proud. And it's been, I hate international breaks. I know you touched on it, but I don't even watch international football. So, it's not even. It's just literally 2 weeks of without football for me. So. But yeah, great to be here. Thank you for the invite again. I had a really great time last time, and I'm looking forward to the discussion tonight. I'm also drinking. I went to the Co-op, and I've got some Scalvini Prosecco, Steve. So just about as cheap and cheerful as probably whatever you're enjoying as well tonight. So let's get into it. Oh, there you go.
I've just got a hot chocolate. It's about 11 degrees in here, so I've just got a hot chocolate, but and a cat. But yeah, and that's a good American beer right there, Jack.
Yeah, that's an American double IPA right there, 9%.
Nice, mate, nice. Yeah. And Sean's got a fan in Alan already. He's been watching your dog videos with Bugsy. Love those videos, Sean, as always. This is the first time we've actually managed to get on with each other, even though I'm constantly badgering you on WhatsApp. But anyway,
not badgering, mate. Not badgering. I love hearing from you. It's fantastic.
No, very nice. Thank you very much, mate. Please do like and subscribe. We're almost at 8,500 viewers. Nowhere near Sean's 23k, but make sure if you haven't seen Sean's show, catch his videos. He does panel shows like this, and he also does 10, 15-minute shows every few days on whatever the current topic is while walking his dog, Bugsy Malone, and you'll see what I was talking about earlier. And please, if you're watching this on Catch Up, as we know a lot of the guys in Australia and the America will do, please leave us a comment and give us a like. Jack, do you want to kick us off?
Well, first, I always want to remind everyone that we are a growing family here in the Cheese Room. We've got a Patreon group that you can see on the screen where we have lots of exclusive content, contests, ticket shares, chat groups. And this is where a lot of us came from to join this channel and start doing the show, where we often bring people from our Patreons into the show like we did last time with Gur, and it's really great to bring people in. So please join us. It's only £3 a month. It's the only thing that doesn't have a price rise every single year. So take advantage of that. We have locked in pricing. So that's always good to know. And what we're here to talk about, of course, is the game. But first, Sean, I wanted to ask, this is going to be the first game at home since the ticket changes, the price rise, and more importantly, the themes and concession changes. I don't know if you're welcome to share your views on this if you'd like, but I wanted to see what you thought. You're going to be going to the game, I believe, tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm going to the game. Yeah.
So what do you think do you think there's going to be any response or any coordinated effort for the fans at home to express their opinions on this matter?
Yeah, look, I'll start by saying my take on this is a really unpopular one. It's I don't particularly love to participate in arguments that are emotional. I'm a bit of a boring guy that likes to look at the kind of logical side, and my background in kind of business and finance makes me kind of lean towards that stuff to try and make sense of things. And when it comes to this particular notion, I probably have the least popular take on it that could exist. Before I come to it, in terms of will the fans make any noise, I think there'll probably be a couple of banners here and there. There might be a few people outside the stadium beforehand that will, like participate in the traditional leave out sort of notions. Inside the stadium at 60, I think the people turning their back, it will go unnoticed, much like most protests. The vast majority of people in the stadium aren't interested in that stuff. But listen, first of all, I want to say I'm always for all forms of protest. Even though I don't necessarily agree with the people who have, different takes to Daniel Levy or the ownership than I do, I always support them, and I will always talk about their stuff on the channel and encourage people that feel the same to go and spread their voice. But for me personally, even on this particular one, which is quite nuanced, I've got a difficult take on it. And the take is that, if you zoom out from Tottenham Hotspur and you look at the sort of society in general, 2/3 of the population will very soon be becoming over the age of 65, will consider themselves concession candidates. I know that Tottenham at the moment only have a few groups or blocks, whatever, that would be sort of relevant to this. But if the demographic that our season ticket holders at Tottenham Hotspur represent anything like, the UK in general, then what you'll find is that the vast majority of the stadium would be up for a 50% discount over the next 2 or 3 years if they were to continue to offer everybody that moves into that age bracket the same discount. And that would naturally mean that the other third would pick up the slack, just like it is in life. 2/3 of the population will soon be being paid for by 1/3. It's a difficult, conundrum, but I don't particularly want to have to pay $4,000 for a season ticket because my dad has just popped into the over 65 category and gets a 50% discount. I think that they are traditionally or statistically, factually, the wealthiest demographic. I know that doesn't necessarily reflect every individual, but they are, on average, wealthier than any other generation. And I think that, as a business sense, you can't continue to use that sort of that justification forevermore. Tottenham aren't the only club that are doing it. And, I think as a business, it makes sense. I know the argument will be, well, it only makes a difference of a couple of million here or there. But I would point to Wolverhampton Wanderers' accounts that came out this week or last week, and will point to the fact that they were literally 3 million or going to be £3 million just the right side of FFP. And so if you take the approach to every decision regarding the cost of living crisis or the cost of supply chains, and the club is supposed to swallow those increased costs in the effort to try to hand things back to the fans, eventually you'll be out of business. It will erode margins. So from a business perspective, I think unfortunately just having a blanket option to give people that are 65 a discount, I don't think works. I think that you should have a means tested situation where people that are based on loyalty, if you've been a season ticket holder for 20 years or whatever, then maybe those things should continue. But that's difficult to do. I don't know how you measure someone's wealth if it's caught up in someone's house. Long-winded way of saying, unfortunately, I think that it's a difficult position for the club to take, but I don't disagree with it.
Well, that's fair. I mean, this is a difficult topic for me as an American and not someone who grew up supporting Spurs. You guys are probably familiar with the ticket prices we face over here. That makes Premier League tickets look cheap by comparison. But they are difficult to acquire, unlike over here where there's a vibrant secondary market. And if you have the cash, you can go to any game you want to go to, including the Super Bowl for the NFL. So it's a different environment. It's a cultural change a cultural issue that I've had to get to know. I mean, actually, out of pure ignorance, my first game attending Spurs was away at St. Mary's. And it was one of these, I had no idea. I just went on like StubHub or something like that, bought tickets on the secondary market, got completely raped over the tickets price, had no idea, but it seemed normal to me. And only later, after I acquired the tickets, I find that I might get refused at the stadium because I bought them on the secondary market from somebody who put it up there. So the ticket price rise doesn't bother me really, quite frankly, because it's really amounts to, I think, 7.5% over 5 years. That's not really a big increase on the season ticket price. I think too much has been made of that. We don't have concession pricing here in this country. It's not something I've ever been familiar with. So I kind of stay out of it just because it's not my thing. I don't have any real view that I think is worth sharing on that matter, but I do understand the outrage. I do understand the cultural impact, and I understand why people are upset, because it does seem to be, your fans have been going forever are finally getting to that discounted ticket, and now they get the rug pulled out from under them. I totally get that, but want to give you an opportunity.
Not all of them have been going forever. Some of them have been going for a couple of years, season tickets, and then they would automatically qualify. I know the point that there's only certain blocks that would qualify for concessions, but as more and more people would qualify for the age concession, there would be a higher demand for those things to be extended. And like I say, as a business proposal, it just doesn't make sense. I also just have a massive problem with people that present this argument as though it carries the same weight in my mind that doesn't make sense. People that say only people that are from Tottenham and people that are from a lower economically advantaged background are real passionate fans. People that come from overseas or people that want to pay more money, that if the wealthier you are somehow impacts your level of passion. It just doesn't hold any water. I've been to the Tunnel Club and the people in there are just as passionate as people in the South Stand, but they just happen to have a more, have been more fortunate. So there's so many problems with the argument regarding the resentment towards price rises. This idea that a football club is immune from the increased prices, the increase, like I say, the supply chain increase in the ability to pass over the costs. This idea that loyalty should be recognized and rewarded. What about the 100,000 people that are waiting in line that are willing to pay the additional prices, but the people that have tickets think that they should continue to have an artificially suppressed price in the face of demand and supply economics just because they are a fan who happens to have the ticket? It doesn't, to me, again, there's so many problems with the argument that Daniel Levy is a demon for raising prices. It doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, that's fair, and I think we wanted to cover it just because it is the first home game, and I think I really appreciate you sharing your viewpoint. We're not going to get a big debate that we're going to get into, but I appreciate you sharing your thoughts and be willing to clearly articulate what is going to be, like you say, an unpopular viewpoint on the matter. So I thank you for that. So we've got a little bit of, we don't have a big history. John, this is your slide. I assume these are all the league fixtures over the.
These are the last fixtures. We haven't played Luton in the cup or anything for years. So obviously we beat them 1-0 in October when Basuma got his double booking. Noticeably, how nobody else seems to be sent off for a second booking for diving, even though Havertz blatantly did it quite recently. But the last game in N17 was 4 days after my 15th birthday. In a game we were 1-0 down at half time. I did put the link in to watch the YouTube 3-minute highlights at the beginning of the show. I don't know if it's still there or not, but I can relink it later. And we were 1-0 down midway through the second half, and the floodlights went out. We were off the pitch for 15 minutes. The floodlights came back on, and Spurs turned it round from 1-0 down to 4-1 up, including 2 goals. The only 2 goals ever scored by a young England youth player called Scott Houghton, who apparently is now a police officer in Luton or Bedfordshire or somewhere. He was a young winger that I once saw play for England under 18s, but he's one of those typical Spurs players that looked really good as a youngster and just didn't quite progress.
Right. Well,
but yeah, we haven't played them for a long time.
Then why don't we talk a little bit about the Luton setup? What we're expecting, I guess, would be the question in this match. So we've got a little bit of their recent form. I think this is table. Sorry. So this is where they sit in the table. Obviously, they're out of the promotion zone only because of the recent point deduction that Nottingham Forest has received. And they have a chance to stand up. I mean, personally, for me, I don't know if I'm the only one on the show that feels this way. I'd like to see Luton stay up. I'm not, and John, are you? I mean, aside from losing this weekend, I hope they stay up. What is your feeling on Luton?
Sorry, I just saw Dave's comment that my favorite singer is Enya. I think so. Anyway, yeah, I mean, I'd like it. Obviously, that it's a bit of a rags to riches story where they were down. They were minus 30 points, weren't they, at one point for going to administration down at the bottom of the league? Did they drop out? They dropped out the league.
Yeah, they were in the National League.
Yeah, they're in the National League. And they've come up. Their manager's done such a great job. Obviously, they've got Andros Townsend, the Spurs boy, there. It's been a really interesting watching them season. Ross Barkley, new lease of life there. Again, I think he's only on a 1-year contract, I believe. So,
yep.
Some people saying, could he make the England squad? I don't think that'll happen now. But, what he could definitely probably push on. But, yeah, it's nice to see Luton doing well. I think Burnley and Sheffield United have been disappointed generally. Obviously, we play them in the last week of the season, so we'll probably lose both games. Forest we've got next week, so we'll probably lose that one as well. Dr. Tottenham will sort all the bottom 4 teams out, won't we? No doubt. JP, while you're there, can you sort of thumbnail out for this show and the next 2 shows? Thank you very much.
Sean, what are your feelings on Luton in terms of you think they're going to stay up, they got a shot, or will these appeals from Everton and Nottingham Forest get them points back and probably drop down?
No, I think the Forest will have their points deduction upheld, even though I feel like the rationale for why they accepted or waited 3 weeks to take a £12 million stronger bid from Tottenham for Brennan Johnson. I think if in the eyes of the whole purpose of PSR is sustainability, then it's a nonsense for Nottingham Forest to have to wait 3 weeks. I know it moves into another reporting period, but look, at the end of the day, the rules are the rules, and they've set the precedent with Everton already. So Nottingham Forest will probably have their appeal rejected. Everton will also have another 4 points to fight. And it's going to be a fascinating last 10 games between those teams. And I genuinely do want Luton to stay up because I think they've been a breath of fresh air this year. I think they played their own version of football. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, Burnley, I think we're a lot, very naive. The manager was very naive, thinking they could come in and play, kind of their version of Ange ball, if you like. And with the quality they have, thought they could get away with it. It hasn't really worked out. I think that will be a painful lesson, but they probably deserve to go back down and figure out and come back again and maybe do something different in 2 seasons' time. But for Luton, I really hope that they do. Obviously, I don't care about their particular safety plight tomorrow, but after that, I hope they go on and outperform in the last 9 games because is it Rob Edwards? I think he's been a breath of fresh air.
Yeah.
But listen, they've got a hell of a lot of injuries, so. It's going to be a tough one for them because their best team is competent when they're all pulling in the same direction, but they've got so many injuries. I think they were pulling coaching staff into their this week in training. I think they were putting coaching staff in their opposition 11, if you like, the sort of defensive 11, so they could practice. They had that few players, and even one of the coaching staff pulled a hamstring in training.
Yeah,
such is their plight. So. It doesn't look good for them, but like I say, I really do hope they figure out a way to stay up.
Yeah, I'm the same, and this is what I took off the Luton Town website announcement is that Dottie and Mapanzu are available, but Ogbeni got injured with Ireland, and they still have Lakanga and Adebayo out, so they're missing a lot of offensive weapons. This is John. I think you've got their lineup from their last game. Is this against Forest?
Yeah, this is the one all draw against Forest. Yeah.
Yeah. So obviously they're going to have to come in with another right-sided wing back come in, as well as a center midfielder partner with Barkley. So you're like you're saying, Sean, they're down a lot of players, which only makes any rational Spurs fan even more fearful for the result tomorrow. Steve, You were doing a crash course on Luton. Did you pick up any information or anything that you want to share on the team?
I mean, I think just generally anybody who's watched them this year, they play good football. And I do hope they stay up. Obviously, like Sean said, don't want them to do well tomorrow. They play good football. They're quite offensive. We were talking just before we came on, Jack, weren't we? They complete a lot of passes, keep a lot of possession. So that's what we're going to hope they're going to do against us, because we do well when teams do that against us. When teams press us and sit back, we don't do so well. And also, I was reading on BBC earlier that they haven't kept a clean sheet in top flight since 1991. They haven't been in the top flight a lot since 91. That's one of those stats. And 3 of their last 4 most recent away games against top flight, they've conceded 4 goals. So,
yeah,
you've got to hope, and you've got to think if we've got any chance of getting in the top 4, which is still we have, both mathematically and I think like practically we have. We've got to beat them, and we've got to beat them well. Get some goal difference back, because we're now slightly behind on Villa on goal difference again.
Yeah, these are the stats from their last game against Forest, and at home, of course, they actually dominated possession 60-40. They outpassed them. They didn't quite get as many shots. Nottingham Forest was good at taking their chances, but obviously that's the 1-1 draw. I noticed the same thing 3 games ago against Aston Villa. They matched them pretty much on possession. They matched them on controlling the ball, shots. I mean, they will play football. I mean, they have demonstrated that they're not afraid to play with the ball. Sean, I'm wondering what you're expecting. Are they going to realize that they have a shot at staying up and everything they can do to get a point, or maybe steal 3 and play deep defensive tactics that they probably have to have seen works against this squad? Or do you think they're going to come out and try and play and be more expansive? What are your expectations for tomorrow?
Oh, I think Rob Edwards is quite an exploitative sort of manager. I think he will sort of pivot his. I mean, first of all, I don't know what 11 he's going to put out. So I think when it becomes a little bit of like square pegs in round holes, then you kind of make do and see what's happened, and you think, cross your fingers a little bit. But I think that generally speaking, he doesn't necessarily set up to play the same way in every game. And even in games against like Aston Villa, when Aston Villa, I think they were 2-0 up or 3-0 up, and then Luton got back into it.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I think the one takeaway is that they don't kind of roll over and die. Regardless of the situation, they're always going to have a go. And even though it hasn't necessarily worked out very often for them, they're a team that you can appreciate, that they will always, regardless of the scoreline, keep trying. And look, against Tottenham are a team that get themselves in comfortable positions, but then ultimately let teams back into the game. And even if we're out of the game on the other side, we still think we can get back into it ourselves. So it sets up for a really interesting game. But in terms of just the fact that they've got so many injuries and not knowing what their team's going to be, I don't really know how they're going to play. But what I would expect is just the same resilience and the same doggedness, and that even if we get a 2-0 lead, I don't think that Tottenham can take their kind of foot off the gas a little bit. I don't think that Tottenham can rest on our laurels, because Luton are a team that won't, as I say, they won't roll over and die and won't give up the goose. So should be a great game. But like I say, with Tottenham this season, I have no idea going into every game. I don't know what to expect. And that's kind of the beautiful thing about Ange Ball, but it's also frustrating at times as well.
Yeah, I mean, Luton has proven the ability to score goals. I mean, I don't know if it's still true that they have more goals than United. I'm trying to check here. They got 42 goals scored, and United has got 39. So they will put the ball in the back of the net. They just concede a lot, of course. And that result against Bournemouth was obviously disappointing I think they were up 3-0. And then losing 4-3. So I think it's going to be.
What a game that was.
I wish I'd seen that. Actually, I couldn't watch that. It sounded like a lot of fun to watch. Although, again, rooting for Rob Edwards and Luton to stay up beyond a doubt. And I will say that so is my wife and some of her friends, because they seem to fancy Rob Edwards. But needless to say, John, what are you thinking? I think I didn't see the press conference today, but if I'm not mistaken, other than the piece of glass Ryan Sessegnon, I think, is everyone available for selection? Is that what Ange told us today?
Yeah, Ange confirmed that Mickey van der Ven has returned to training after his layoff. Obviously, we don't know how ready he is to come back into the team, or whether he'll stick with Dragushin again. But basically, Solomon, Sessegnon, and Fraser Forster are the only ones that are out long term So it sounds like everyone else is back. We did hear a rumour earlier in the week that Mikey Moore might be around. I know he wasn't with England, and it appears he hasn't played for the youth team for a few weeks. So I don't know whether he's back fit and just he was used as one of those youth players to fill in where players are on international duty or not. But it would be great to see the likes of Moore, slowly getting in, because we hear really good things about him, don't we? But yeah, I would probably expect the big questions probably are: does Van de Ven come in?
Training? Sorry, John, was that you're saying he's been in first team training?
Well, that's the rumor. Yeah, it was just a Twitter rumor, so I haven't seen anything from the club. But it would sort of make sense, because with team players on international duty, they do tend to bring players up from the youth teams, and obviously Moore is very highly rated in not only in the club but around the country.
Yeah, of course.
By all accounts.
Yeah, but has he played at under 21 game? I don't think he's. I know he plays in the under 18s, but I don't think he's played in the under 21s.
I think he might have played one. So yeah, that's really the big thing you're looking at. Maybe that Ange said, let's bring him up, have a look at him, just in training. And sometimes players can make that jump. But you'd think that Donnelly obviously is ahead of him, and there's other players. Scarlett obviously scored 5 goals in about 110 minutes for the England under 21 and under 20s. Sorry. So we've got a lot of youth players coming through. They just need opportunities, and it's a difficult time because we're fighting for fourth, aren't we?
Yeah. So we're getting a lot of comments. I'm seeing, JP's talking about don't play Mickey Van de Ven. Davo is asking about whether we should continue to stick with Basuma or put him on the bench. So my question for you, Steve, is what is your preferred lineup going into this game? Do you play Mickey? Do you play what some of the positions obviously sort themselves, but there are a lot of questions now actually in the back line and midfield and front line with everyone available.
So I wouldn't bring Van de Ven back. So I don't know. Presumably they're going to start with Morris up front, are they?
Yes, I would think so.
I don't know enough about him. Is he quick?
He's a unit. He's a unit.
He's a big target.
He's not quick. He's an old school number 9.
So they've not got a crazy amount of pace. So it's probably a good game him coming back, not to start Van de Ven. Obviously Romero, left back, right back, goalkeeper sort themselves. I'd bring Richarlison back in, skipping over midfield for now. Put Son up on the left. I'm probably going to get flack for this one. Brennan on the right.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
I think Kulu's got more chance of changing a game if he comes off the bench, so he can play broadly more positions across the front than Brennan can, who's either left or right. Davo's point on Basuma, I'm going to agree with Davo.
Bentancur's obviously got a broken toe, hasn't he? Which he's been playing with for a while.
Yeah, I'm so fed up. I'm so fed up with Tottenham players playing football badly and then coming out after the fact and saying, "Oh yeah, it's because I'm injured." If you're fit enough to play, then own your form. If you're not fit enough to play because you're injured, then don't put your hat in the ring, or name in the hat rather. Stop.
He wasn't playing brilliantly before that Palace game, though, was he? And the Palace game was the first game he played with it.
It just annoys me. I've got to ask the question about Richarlison as well, if you don't mind. I know it might be a sidetrack for a second, but sensitive topic. But that video that that came out this week with him, expressing how emotional he is and the struggles he's having. I have absolute sympathy and empathy for people that go through that stuff. But is it responsible, or is it? So let me say this again: is it irresponsible of the football club to play a guy who 3 days earlier has vocally espoused his struggles and the things that he was going through and the thoughts that he was having, to put him in the Goldfish Bowl and put the pressure on? Is it good for the person? Is it good for the team? Is it responsible on any level to have him playing right now? I think it's a very difficult situation, but I think that there should be a conversation around whether or not he's in the right space mentally to lead our line.
That's a good point, and that's a hard one to judge, isn't it?
Yeah,
because you can mask your emotions pretty well, as we know, all of us do at times. So it's a hard one for the club to judge. There's probably no right answer, mate.
Well, I also just worry about whether or not, if his happiness or his unhappiness is sort of determined by how many minutes he has, then given what he was talking about, and I won't say it on live stream, obviously, if you say the words, you can getting demonetized or whatever. So I won't say it, but we all know what I'm inferring here. If his happiness is predicated on the minutes he'll receive, then is there not some sort of maybe emotional blackmail that if he was to be dropped because he's not deemed ready to play mentally, that would also put him back into a bit of a hole with the dark thoughts, and so therefore you have to play him to keep him happy. If you don't play him, bad things can happen. I don't know. I'm sort of, I've been asking my people on my channel this. I just think it's really difficult, really, really difficult situation for the club to be in right now. What's the best course of action there?
I think Ange is the sort of guy, obviously we know Ange keeps a distance from the players, don't we? He doesn't tend to get too involved, but he will definitely be speaking to the psychologists, whoever we've got speaking to him, and asking, obviously he won't get the specific information about Richarlison, but be asking for a guide of how, do you think he's ready? And he will definitely be speaking to Richarlison saying, how are you feeling? They'll be watching him in training, because if a player's not up to it, it will show in training as well. I think there'll be a level. It might be that he comes on as a stinker and says, right, I got this wrong, pull him out. Maybe we do need to leave him out for a few games. He didn't travel with Brazil, did he? Or did he go to play with Brazil?
No, he didn't play. Yeah.
So I assume the players had a few days off, had a little holiday, went to Dubai like they tend to do. And then they've had a good week or so training. So I imagine Ange has had a proper look, obviously with his coaching team, looked at how he's been and have spoken to him probably and asked him how he's felt. Obviously, this has been going for a long time as well. And he's had a purple patch where he's scoring quite a few goals when Sonny was away. So I guess, it is a difficult challenge. We don't know the inner workings of how it's being and how Ange is judged. I think we just have to accept that Ange is a very clever man and will make the best decision for the team, I think.
Well, and for the players, we saw that with a substitution of Romero at Brentford, didn't we? Romero did not want to come off. He just scored a goal, had the potential concussion injury at that time. And he was adamant he didn't want to come off. And Ange was absolutely not having it. So I think Ange will try to make the right decision. But stuff like this, I feel for the guy, but it's so challenging to make the right call because you've got limited information.
Yeah, and I think this comment from King Hoddle is interesting because he's saying he hadn't really heard about him needing to play for his mental health. And reality is, from my experience, following all sports, football or otherwise, all players are happier when they play. I mean, no one is happy on the bench or not in the squad. What is required of a professional is the ability to have the mental fortitude to actually not be the pit, not be in the squad, and then when called upon, be ready to jump in there and do a job. Mm-hmm. And I think, Sean, you're alluding to this a little bit, is Richarlison the type of player who struggles with that and may always struggle. He's not a 21-year-old, player. He's not a young, person who's just trying to find his way. He's someone who has been in the league a long time. And so, I personally have come to really appreciate Richarlison. I think I like his candor. I think that story about him coming into late to a meeting in one of Conte's team meetings and asked if you have something to say or something to say to the group, and he didn't realize that he was being called out for being late, and then just said, I needed more playing time or something to that effect. I remember that story coming out fairly recently.
I took that differently. I thought that was really petulant. I thought that
it was.
Immature,
it's unprofessional and unaware. Absolutely. Yeah. So that's my point. What I'm saying is, as a person, I really seem to like him because I think he's like a genuine individual who I think I might actually, if I could communicate effectively with, might be someone I like. But as a professional football player in the Premier League,
right,
he obviously has some baggage and some issues. I mean, I think that's just, listen, I deal with mental health issues in my family. I've got a long line of history, and so I'm very sympathetic to these issues. But I can appreciate from a club's perspective what you're saying is he a lot to handle, and you're constantly trying to second guess yourself as to how to handle him. And I think, to your point, John, Ange is probably the best manager we've had in the last 5 years to deal with this situation and potentially get the best out of Richie, because from a pure athletic talent standpoint, he has something to offer. I mean, he's never going to be world class necessarily, but I think he's a very, very good, solid forward, on a Premier League team.
Yeah, I mean, the two things. One, and I think obviously because we've got Brendan, who's based in Brazil. Brendan's spoken about this, how hard it is for someone in Brazil to come out with this. This is, Brazil was very much a macho environment, and mental health is not something they talk about. So what he's doing is actually amazing in Brazil, because obviously he's a very well-known guy in Brazil. So kudos to him for that. And if this had been Conte, this would have been a disaster, wouldn't it? I think absolute disaster. So thank goodness. Anyway, let's not talk about that guy anymore. All right. I don't know whether he'll play.
Yeah. All right. So let's get back to the original question. I'm going to say, Sean, let's take aside the complex issues around Richarlison, just on form and ability. What's your starting 11 for tomorrow?
Yeah, well, I can't put that stuff aside for my 11. Because of that stuff, I don't want him in the 11. I want him on the bench at best. I don't want him to start. Like I say, sympathy for the guy. I hope he figures it's, demons are tricky to handle. I hope he gets rid of them. But my priority is obviously what's best for Tottenham. And at the moment, at least for tomorrow, I think the proximity to that interview is too close. So I think that we should go with something similar to what we had last time. Sonny, Decky, and Brennan Johnson. But you know what? I think that the top three, everyone's kind of a level at the moment. I know Sonny's head and shoulders, but I don't really see that much difference in my trust in whether or not Timo's playing on the left or Brennan Johnson is. Decky on the right, Brennan Johnson. Ange can pick any particular front three of those guys right now, and I'm not that unhappy. And if what happened with Richie hadn't happened, I'd put him in the same pool. I don't mind if he's playing or starting. I'm just as happy or unhappy as if any of the other three are. In the midfield, I think that you have to play Bissouma. Højbjerg's comments this week have kind of, I think, a little bit. I understand he's upset and unhappy and aggravated, but I don't think you can really throw the manager under the bus like he has.
What did he say?
Yeah, bring me up to speed. Sorry, I've been in a bubble.
Yeah, he basically said he was asked by, I think it was Danish press after one of the games for Denmark, why he's not playing or why he's not happy. And he basically said, it's no secret that I'm unhappy. You'll have to ask the manager why I'm not playing. I try my best every day and I go home every night and my head can lay very lightly on the pillow knowing that I'm trying my best. But, I'm not okay with not getting the minutes.
I can answer that because you're not good enough, Pierre, for Ange. He's all right as a sub, but he's not good enough. He's actually, his best performances have been off the bench for us. His game management's good, but he's not good enough.
His mobility is not good enough in the first half when people have got full energy. In the second half, when people are tired, it's a little bit easier for him to come in and do things. But yeah, but either way, I think he's trying to force his move, and I don't know if his attempt to do that by throwing the manager under the bus a little bit is trying to force the hand of Daniel Levy. It's a very heavy hand to force, and I don't necessarily think it's going to work out. I think that Daniel Levy is going to, still calculate a value based on his attributes, and if Juventus or someone else wants to pay it, fine. But anyway, sorry, that's not the question. I don't think Højbjerg is going to play tomorrow. I think he'll be on the bench. So I think on that basis, if Bentancur's got a bad toe, then I think you'll see Bissouma, Sarr, and Maddison, and then back four for me. I think that you can't risk Van der Ven. I think that we should be able to have enough with Dragusin, Romero, Porro, and Udogie, and then I think you need Van der Ven back for West Ham because that's a really a massive game on Tuesday. So that's the 11 I would go with.
Yeah, I agree. I think I concur 100%. John, I don't know if you watched the Wales match this week. I know your son was talking in our chat that Brendan really had a fantastic game until he was inexplicably subbed off in the 75th and keeping Kiefer Moore on. That seemed to upset him greatly. My feeling is I think Brendan's been in good form, and I would play him. And I do think that Richie should probably be on the bench. I can't disagree with what Sean's lineup. Do you have any other thoughts? Because I think saving Van de Ven for Jared Bowen counterattacks is probably a good idea.
I mean, the interesting one was obviously Timo scores his first goal and then gets dropped for the next game, which I find interesting. And I did say on the next stream, I think is that a case of that Ange's already decided Werner's not going to be here next season, and he's looking towards the future with Brennan? Maybe Brennan didn't have a great game at Fulham. I saw from about 70 minutes. I saw about 70 minutes onwards for the Wales game, so he got taken off not long afterwards. But from bits I did see, he didn't do a lot. My son's just a bit passionate about Brendan Johnson. I don't think he's always that balanced.
You don't say.
So, yeah, Werner or Johnson on the left. I would probably play Cooley, depending on how fit he is and how he. Don't know how much he did against for Sweden, playing for Sweden in the international break, because he just. You look at his stats. He doesn't always appear to do stuff, but you look at his stats, and suddenly he does create so many chances for us and gives us so many options. Also, if we are going to play Richie, Cooley does like that swinging in curled left-footed cross, doesn't he? Which Richie can head in. And do we think Luton are going to play a low block? Or do we think
I honestly don't. I don't know what they're going to play. I honestly have no. I'm excited to find out, because I think that team are capable of doing any. Like, he's an exploitative manager. Some managers, are game theory. They'll play their own football and care less about the opposition. Edwards isn't one of those guys. He likes to exploit, and so. But he's also, how can he exploit if his team is riddled with injuries to the level he is? So I don't know what to expect.
What Fulham and Wolves did was they spread wide. They tried to pull us apart. They know our fullbacks like to come inside. They use the width. Luton play wing backs, so they will use the width. That will be their attack employ the whole game, and that's what worried. They especially with someone like Barkley in the team, if he's fit, he'll switch the play really quickly.
Yeah,
and he will try and stretch us, and that's probably how they can get to us. Get those wing backs down, get the crosses in.
Yes,
I heard he was injured.
No, to my knowledge, he's available. And I think that's a good point, because Ogbeni is a big miss on the right, but Doughty's playing on the left. So I expect most of their switches and their attacks on the counter are going to come down our right side. And that might be a reason that you play Decky, because he does give you a lot of cover. And you definitely would be playing Sarr, because you're going to need the cover on that right side. I don't know who's going to play on their right coming down our left with Ogbeni, because I just don't know their squad well enough. But I have to imagine it's a pretty big drop off in that squad. So that would be a problem. We're going to be playing, again, exceedingly high line, and that would be the reason possibly to have Van de Ven. I've seen a lot of comments I put up here in the chat that seems that a lot of people say, hey, with 10 games left, if he's available for selection, he's available to start, and if he's not, then that's on our medical department, right? So I trust Ange to make the best decision. I don't know that I have as much faith in the medical staff, but that's just because that's a long history with me. But yeah, I think we, at least the good news is you're dealing with a manager who has abundance of choices and is going to have as strong a bench as we possibly have had all season. So that's obviously working in our favor, no doubt.
I've got a question for you, Jack.
Yeah.
Are Luton a bit of a danger because we don't know quite the team they're going to put out or how they're going to play? Because there were so many injuries, they may even have to come up with a different formation, right? And that's a danger in itself, because who are we going to be playing tomorrow?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point.
Probably guess, maybe Richie, maybe not, maybe Van de Ven, maybe not, but they can probably guess, and we can all guess now, 9 out of 11 of our starting. Whereas, Luton have only probably got 11 fit players, but the formation they're going to play and the way they're going to play is probably a little bit up in the air. That's a risk in itself.
Yeah, I mean the first 30 minutes of the game at Kenilworth Road was some of the best football we played. We just didn't actually get the ball in the net, and so to King's Hoddle's point is we shouldn't be obsessing too much about a very depleted team that's just above the relegation zone. We should be playing the best possible team. But the reality is that we have proven, team after team, manager after manager, having a hard time breaking teams down who play a low block. The question, so naturally, as if you're playing Football Manager, then maybe you would try to set up in a low block to take this out. I just don't know if Rob Edwards has trained his team in that sort of formation, or that they're better off trying to play football with us. Obviously, we all want them to play expansive football that open up a lot more space for us. But again, it's all about Spurs and their effort, because, position by position, we are the better team. That's not up for debate. And if we come out and play like we did with the energy at Fulham, then we're going to have a problem. If we come out and play like we did with the energy at Villa Park, then I don't think this Luton, it doesn't matter what they do or what system they play, eventually we'll break them down like the goals and get the 3 points. I mean, it all comes down to that. I think King makes a pretty good point. So, John?
Predictions?
Well, I think we wanted to look at you've got some ideas around the fixtures going forward. I mean, realistically, where are we looking at? I mean, I think we all can agree that you can't afford not to get 3 points this weekend. That's
right.
just
absolutely.
Right?
Should we do the prediction for this game and then we'll go on to the top four?
Let's do that.
Challenge. Yes. So, looking at Luton have had 21 goals for and against in their last 5 games. We've had 17, I think. So obviously it'll be a 0-0 draw. I don't. Yeah, we'll probably concede from a set piece. So I'm going to go 3-1 to Spurs.
All right.
Steve?
I was thinking the exact same result. 3-1 to Spurs is what I put down in the prediction league in the Patreon chat, which means that then we're getting extra points for exact scores this weekend, which means it definitely won't be 3-1, but that's what I put down. Sean?
Yeah, I actually had 3-1 as well, to be honest. But just to be different, I'll say 4-0. But I actually do believe it's 3-1. I think that we will concede. I actually think we'll concede first, if I'm entirely honest. And then we'll come back strong.
Probably wouldn't be the worst thing.
Yeah. Yeah. But if you're at the game, it's a horrible the environment, the atmosphere.
Yeah.
When you concede first in the South Stand, it becomes really moany and groany and lots of tuts and huffs and puffs. But yeah, second half we'll come back strong. I'm going to say 3-1. I'm not going to change my mind. 3-1.
Steve, are you going to make it a unanimous decision or what?
I'm not. So we're definitely going to concede. And I think we'll concede more than one. Because they are good at set pieces, as somebody else mentioned in the chat. So I think we'll concede 2. 1 from a corner, 1 from a free kick. And I think we'll score 5. I think we'll do
5.
I think it'll be a cracking game of football. I think it'll be open. But I think it'll be one of those games of football where we're 3-2 up with 10 minutes to go. And they're going at us because they need it for survival, and we finish them off because we do score late goals.
Yeah, that is a good point because you don't want this game close because they're going to be, again, they've got their eye on the prize. They are in a position to stay up, even though their business plan was to take the money, build the stadium, and then even at the risk of dropping down, only to come back up in a stronger financial position. At this point, they have to see their chance to stay in the league, which would accelerate all of their plans significantly because I think they actually were planning to go down.
Yeah. I just want to point out, Alan is our resident Newcastle fan. Lads, as an outsider, everyone worries about the club they're facing. It's called pressure. I am randomly, I don't even know why I was looking at the League One results, and of the bottom 10 teams, only 2 of them lost today. Wow. You can have days where the teams at the bottom win or draw, pick up points. So, there's no guarantees in this league. And the beauty of the Premier League, there's no guarantees. We have to be on it. It'd be nice if we started quick and got a couple of goals and not this slow, turgid start we've had so many times. Yeah, and also on the back of the international break, sometimes we're not always on it. So I really hope we can get on it tomorrow and steamroll them over and be nice and fresh for Tuesday at the London Stadium.
That's massive on Tuesday. Yeah. So important.
Well, West Ham are massive, Sean. Remember, they tell us every week.
So important. We smashed them.
So here's the league table. We are obviously 3 points behind Villa with that game against Chelsea in hand, and United are 6 points behind us. Where's the? Here we go. Here's the Villa fixtures. So Villa have got Wolves, City away, Brentford at home, Arsenal away, Bournemouth at home, Chelsea at home, Brighton away, Liverpool at home, and Palace away. So,
very tough
guys,
for them,
I mean, Brighton are hit and miss, aren't they? Palace, you expect them probably to win there. They can be a bit. Although under
all of those teams are. It's not like there's a Luton or a Sheffield United or a Burnley or a Fulham in there. It's all of those teams on their day are, especially obviously City and Arsenal, but even like Wolves, East Midlands derby. It's like there's no easy games there at all for Aston Villa, and Tottenham have obviously got a really tough sort of like a tough like I'm trying to think of the word, a tough
middle bit, basically.
Middle bit, yeah, whatever that'll do, yeah. But yeah, we have got some games that we should be able to win. Whereas Villa, you could look at every one of those and think, the other team has got a good chance.
And also, they've got Europe. They've got Thursday night football, and their games are getting tougher. They've got Lille, haven't they? Coming up, so they're going to have to fit that around the other games and see what happens. So, what do we reckon, lads? What they got? So they got 9 games. Give us how many wins, how many draws out of that. So you got Wolves, maybe a win. City probably lose. Brentford, they should win. Arsenal, they'll probably lose.
Yep,
maybe 6 points out of that. Bournemouth, you expect them to win. Chelsea could be a draw. Depends which Chelsea turns up.
Brighton a draw.
I think.
Yes, that's
11
points.
4 to 5 wins. I would feel comfortable in that with those fixtures.
So say 5 wins, 2 draws, or 5 wins, 1 draw. So that's 16 points.
4 wins, 2 draws.
No, I think
2 draws, 14.
I'm not sure. I think they draw against Wolves. I think they're 1 point. Yeah, I think there's 1 point there, 0 from City, 4 points in total from Brentford, lose against Arsenal, 7 points from Bournemouth, 8 points from Villa, 9 points from Brighton, 9. I think 12 points.
12 points.
Yeah.
So basically, 16 points get guarantees us fourth effectively.
I've been saying 17 points gets us the fourth for sure in my mind.
Now, obviously, the Premier League have done a bit. They've had a number of fixtures to rearrange, and Sky, of their wisdom, have pushed that the Chelsea Arsenal game happens sooner, the week of the North London derby, when we were all expecting Chelsea Spurs to be that week. Because of the European games, Sky cannot show live Premier League football when there's European games being showed. So Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday of those weeks. The only 3 weeks are the week before the North London derby and the week between Burnley and Sheffield United at the end of the season. So at the moment, because they've put Chelsea on to play Arsenal that week before we play North London derby, and I think City are playing somebody as well on the Thursday. In theory, we can only play Chelsea and City between Burnley and Sheffield United. However, I found a caveat. The Liverpool game on the 4th of May will have to be on the 5th unless Liverpool get knocked out of the Europa League, because they'll be playing Thursday before and Thursday after. The Monday, the 6th, is a bank holiday. There is a possibility they put Spurs against Chelsea on Friday, the 3rd of May. Then Liverpool, Spurs, and West Ham, Chelsea on the Monday, the bank holiday. And then we play City in the final week between Burnley and Sheffield United. That's the only way I can see it working, because they're going to want both those games to be on Sky. Obviously, the Chelsea game was supposed to be on Sky already, and City will definitely be on Sky.
And yet,
is that what you've been doing? You've been sitting there crunching. You've been figuring out.
I just looked at it earlier. Hold on. And I actually messaged HG and went, you might stumble, and then realised it was bank holiday. I hadn't even clocked it was a bank holiday at that point.
Yeah. The thing that worries me the most about this whole schedule is this absurd break between the Newcastle and Arsenal fixtures. I mean, Arsenal will have a lot of games to play and we'll have none. And I have not seen any evidence that Spurs come back better when they've had long periods off. That game really that break. If we're having to get back Son from an injury, then it's going to be great, right? That we have that long break. But that's going to be a dark, long 2 weeks of time for a lot of Spurs fans, myself included.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous at this point in the season that you're going to go 2 weeks without a match. And I mean, I kind of get why, but it just is frustrating. It's just very frustrating.
So Shall we quickly, if we're looking for 17 points then, so we're all hoping Spurs beat Luton. We thinking a point on West Ham?
Yep. Minimum.
Yeah. Forest, we'd hope we'd win that now Sunday game. Why that wasn't moved to an early, that could be a midday kickoff on Sunday easily, couldn't it? So that's 7. Newcastle possibly lose. That is, depends which Newcastle turns up.
It'll be a tough game.
Arsenal's going to be a tough game, obviously. Could
Draw
be a
with
point.
Arsenal.
Yeah.
Draw with Newcastle.
That's 8. Lose to Liverpool, probably.
Liverpool. Yeah.
You'd win. You'd hope those last 2 you win. That's 14. So we need a win out of Chelsea or City, or 2 draws.
Yeah.
It's going to be tight, isn't it?
Yeah. Very tight.
Very
Brilliant.
tight.
The brilliant thing about Tottenham is I know we don't have necessarily we don't have a lot of trophies in our cabinet, but I can't remember the last season. You have to go back about 18, 19 years to find a season when there was nothing to play for going into April or May. There's a lot of teams that have safe from relegation and that have no European football to really chase after. And so they're feet up by about April the 1st, whereas Tottenham always have something into May to fight for. So you get the full benefit of the entire season in terms of competitiveness, which is, I know it's a small change for people that demand trophies, but it's still a little thing that's a positive about being a Tottenham fan.
It'll be Harry's first season, won't it? When we finish 10th. That'll be the
was
last
that 10
time
years ago? 11 years ago?
2008.
Oh, wow. 15 years,
2009,
15 years ago. Yeah.
8, 9, yes. 15, yeah. Happy days. Right. And then United. Well, I mean, they've got Liverpool, they've got Chelsea, they've got some tough games as well. I think it's going to be tough for them to get 6 points extra than us and turn the goal difference over, isn't it? So,
yeah, I don't see any. I mean, barring some, they are playing better, and Manu is obviously, the trusting the youth in the system has brought them some success. But the schedule's too tough. There are too many points and goals to make up. I just don't see how they possibly, without just some freak where they just don't lose, which I just don't think they're good enough. Not with that back line. I don't think we have to worry about. Knocking on the wood on my desk. I don't think we have to worry about United.
yeah. Sean, worried about them at all?
Who, sorry?
United.
Only in as much as that they've played terribly all season, but yet still managed to get results a lot of the time. And, people always say sign of a good team, a team that can play badly and win. But I think that only works if you play well most of the time and win most of the time, and then occasionally you play badly and still manage to get a win. But United haven't put in a good performance, maybe 1 or 2 good performances all season, and yet they're only 6 points behind us. So they can continue to play badly and still be there or thereabouts. And Tottenham, Tottenham, I don't know. You never know which version of Tottenham are going to turn up. Will it be second half against Villa, or will it be 90 minutes against Fulham? We'll find out in about 24 hours' time. So,
Yeah. Okay. Should we do weekend predictions?
Let's knock it out.
So, lunchtime kickoff. Newcastle v West Ham. Oh, what do you reckon, Jack?
This is my breakfast match. I'm actually looking forward to sitting down. There's never a time where it's bad to watch West Ham lose. I don't have a lot of confidence in Newcastle, but it's a long way to travel. Those away fans are a long way from the pitch, and I'm really hopeful that the break has given Newcastle. I haven't followed what their injury situation is right now. They're perpetually got a long list, obviously. But I like Newcastle. I'm thinking this is a 2-1 type of victory for Newcastle. That's at least my hope. And that's what I hope with my coffee in the morning that I get.
Okay. Steve?
Tough one to call, but not just Steve, our guest in the chat. I like Newcastle. Like, I went to uni in Durham, I went to a few Newcastle games, so I like them as a club. Obviously, don't like West Ham. Tough one to call, but I'm hoping as well 2-1, 2-0 or 2-1. I want them to win.
Sure, and I'm thinking that obviously West Ham love to have a low block and hit on the counter. So this could be quite an interesting game because Newcastle will obviously dominate possession up there.
Yeah, but I think West Ham have got bigger fish to fry right now. They've got Tottenham on Tuesday. They've still got they've got Bayer Leverkusen in the Europa League.
Yeah.
So I think Newcastle will be able to dominate this one. I think 2-0 to Newcastle.
I'm going to go 3-1 to Newcastle. Bournemouth, Everton. Bournemouth have been quite good at home normally. Sure, you never know what you're going to get with Everton, do you? 1-0 Bournemouth, I go. Jack?
Yeah, this has got. I mean, I like Bournemouth. I think they've done marvelously well, far beyond expectations. I will, not to be too much of a homer, but Tyler Adams is healthy and he had an unbelievable final against Mexico, and he makes a huge difference if you play him at the defensive midfield. I don't know if he plans on playing him. He was on minutes restriction for the U.S., but I think Tyler is an underrated defensive midfielder. He has a lot of range. He had a screamer from 35 yards in the Nations League final. That was pretty impressive. I hope he plays. I think this has got a draw written all over it because Everton knows they're fighting for their lives. So I'm going to go with a 1-1 draw.
Stevie?
Again, don't think there'll be a lot in it. Can't really disagree with anything Jack has said, but I'm going to. I think Bournemouth will win 1-0, but I think it will be tight. It will be tight.
Sean?
1-1.
Sean, do you want to kick us off with Chelsea-Burnley?
Yeah, okay. Look, Chelsea are going to win this one. I think Burnley are just they're not set up for the Premier League yet. A team like Chelsea should be able to handle this one. I'm going to say 3-0. Cole Palmer will take care of business.
Stevie, was Raheem Sterling going to hit the top tier again with a free kick?
I really hope so. I don't want to say Chelsea going to win, but yeah, Chelsea going to win it. Burnley are terrible. Chelsea hilarious, but they're not hilarious enough to lose, I don't think. So do 3-0.
I'll be honest, before you spoke, both of you, I was thinking 3-0 as well. And Sterling will probably score. Just that's how bad Burnley are. Jack?
Sean, I hope you're right. I've captained Palmer in my fantasy league, so I hope you're right. I think actually they will concede though. Burnley can get up the field; they can score. So I'm gonna take Chelsea 3-1.
Okay. Do you want to take Forest, Jack?
Yeah, this is a game that I could not care less about. I will not watch. Not interested in. It's what we call avoid. There's nothing of appeal in this match. Forest is going to come out fighting, though. They're at home. They're going to feel aggrieved, even though, just so we're clear, they admitted that they violated PSR. They cooperated. They're fine. Their 6 points were 3 for violating and 3 for being so far over, but they got 2 points reversed, right, because of cooperation and good behavior. But they're still going to feel aggrieved, as any fan should be when you have points docked, regardless of the circumstances and reason. And I figure they're come out pretty feisty. Crystal Palace away from home, so they don't have anything to play for. Crystal Palace somehow has cemented 12th in the Premier League, as far as I can remember. So I'll take Nottingham Forest in a 2-0 win.
Okay. I'm just looking. Forest have taken 1 point out the last 5 games, certainly. Yeah, since they beat West Ham 2-0. Not in great form. Palace had obviously had a friendly against Bodo Glimt a couple of weeks ago, randomly. According to Flash Score. Under Glasner, it's a new world at Palace. Could we see? Ooh, I might go a 2-2 on this one. Yeah. Steve?
2-1 Palace.
Johnny?
2-1 Forest.
Oh, covered all the bases. Sheffield United, Fulham. This would be just like football Fulham to get smashed by Sheffield United, wouldn't it? But Fulham should win this. I'm going to go 3-0 Fulham. Jack?
I'm actually going to say Fulham comes down off. They are a yo-yo club, and they play yo-yo football back and forth week to week. You never know what you're going to get. I actually am going to go out on a limb, may even put a pound on Sheffield to win.
Steve?
We're going to sit on the fence as a team here, aren't we? I think a draw, either 0-0 or 1-1.
Okay, sure.
0-0.
Ugh.
Yeah, one of those games you ignore.
Yeah.
Forget. See you later.
Yeah.
Okay. We've already we loosely covered Villa Wolves, but Sean, so you think it's going to be a draw? Do you say?
Which one was that?
Villa Wolves.
Oh yeah, Villa Wolves. I think it's a really difficult one to pick. I think it's going to be a great game. Can't wait to watch that one. If I'm back in time, which I won't be, so I have to watch it on catch up. I'm going to go with 2-2 on that one. I think it'll be a good game.
Steve will be able to watch that on your phone in the car drunkenly while mother is driving you home.
Well, I'll be full time. Have to start off on the ground, won't I? Probably 1-1. I think it will be a draw. Okay. I agree, but I think it'll be 1-1.
I'm going to go 2-1 Villa because I'd rather go worst case and they get the points. Jack?
Yeah, I think I'm not from the UK, but I don't know much about the Midlands, but I don't think these two clubs like each other. Am I correct?
Yeah, they hate each other.
Correct.
Yeah.
So this is Villa at home against a hated rival. I kind of feel the same way with you, that Villa actually. I mean, it's a draw. I don't think Wolves can get a victory here. It's either Villa win or a draw, and I'll stick with you, John. I'd say Villa 2-1 to keep the pressure on Spurs.
Okay. Brentford, Man United. A bit like Sean was saying, United can play badly and get the points. Brentford haven't been brilliant recently, so I'm going to go Man United win on this one, Jack.
Yeah, I'll take a draw in this match.
Steve?
Tough one. I think Brentford are very, very mixed, like you said, but I think they'll do it. 2-1.
Okay, sure.
3-2 Brentford. Ivan Toney, Lister's back. You know, the left back's not far away. Brentford are on their day, full strength. Brentford are a brilliant team. Brentford 3-2. Be a good game as well.
As long as Reggie doesn't get sent off in 5 minutes, they're good. Yeah.
Is Rico? I think Rico Henry's not far away though. I'm not sure if he's back yet, but either way, with Wissa and Tony and Buemo's not far away either, right? So
right. Yeah, I haven't checked the availability on what their situation is.
Yeah. Anyone see past Liverpool 3 points on Sunday?
Nope.
Okay, easy. And then obviously all Arsenal's players that missed international duty are going to be fit blatantly, and City are missing Walker and
Stones.
Stones?
Yep. And of course Ederson.
Yeah, I mean their keeper's done pretty well, but Ederson is just that level apart, isn't he? This is a really tough one to call. Oh, well, just because I have to go City win.
Yes, you don't have any choice.
2-1
Stevie. 2-1 City. Okay, Sean.
Yeah, I was on an Arsenal pod the other day, and just to not alienate myself from their chat, I said 1-1, but City have got dominance over Arsenal at the Etihad, so 2-1 to City.
Yeah, I'll chime in with the same thing.
Be interesting to see how many of these players, Saka and Martinelli, who didn't go into international duty, are fit to play the whole game as well. That'll be has Arteta done the old Fergie thing?
Of course, that'll be absolutely fit.
So interesting thing that's come out this week: Premier League ball boys and girls are to stop returning the balls directly to players. I presume they have to put them on those little like golf tee cone things around the ground now, because obviously it gave the home teams the advantage of the ball boys giving them back quicker, and to avoid the Eden Hazard kicking a ball boy situation that happened a decade ago. That's what the headline basically said. So it'd be interesting. Obviously, there was that incident in a European game where the ball boy chucked it and we quickly scored. And Mourinho brought the lad into training, didn't he? And
Yeah, I did.
the
Into the canteen and had a meal with the players.
Yeah. That was right in front of you, Steve, wasn't it? Were you there for that one?
Yeah. I was there for that. It was a genius move. Can I just say, going back to the fixtures, what a crap match of a day it's going to be on Saturday.
8 games, mate. So I don't know if it's a longer one.
It's going to be a dull one. Very dull one. But Sunday...
depends how many goals there are.
Yeah, fair point. But none of those...
Sunday night's going to be excellent, though, yeah.
Yeah, Sunday is a good day of football. I'm looking forward to that. But...
Oh, hang on. No, sorry. Wait. All those the Aston Villa game and Brentford is Saturday as well, isn't it? Yeah. No, Saturday's match of the day will be good as well.
Yeah, I just think it'll be crap. Mind you, we've got negative at the moment, so...
The biggest problem is that you'll get about 5 minutes a game, probably. There'll be a couple of 0-0s in there, but there might be some couple of games with goals.
I'll put Tottenham last, so, no.
Bournemouth Everton will be last, won't it? Bournemouth Everton will probably be last. Yeah. Chelsea Burnley will be mid, and Forest will be last. And to be fair, Sheffield United, damn it. I guess Newcastle, West Ham. Yeah, I mean, Spurs and Villa and Man United are the main ones. It's going to be the fight for Champions League spaces, isn't it? I guess will be the main focus, unless there's a shock result somewhere.
Yeah, the main game is going to be Brentford United, surely. Or no, probably Villa Wolves and Brentford United, and then we'll be last. And I don't know if you do this, but I watch a game live. We then talk about and watch the highlights after the game. On the drive home, I got my little iPhone out, watching the highlights on YouTube. And then you rush back home and get match of the day on and watch them again. We're weird fans at the end of the day, aren't we?
Hold on.
Is that right?
No, that is not Dudley.
No.
Why is he wearing a red hat?
I think maybe is he talking about the European game?
Because that was at Swansea.
Jose.
Oh, that one.
Jose. That I don't think so. No,
I
think that's
so. Oh, Michael says it was. Okay.
Really? Oh, I did not know that. That's actually interesting.
Mad.
Jimmy Donnelly.
Okay.
Huh.
Steve's going to check tomorrow now for us if he remembers after his 15th glass of pink champagne.
That's right.
I might not be drinking tomorrow.
Okay.
That's criminal, mate. You're going to the Tunnel Club. You've got to drink.
Well, I'm on a diet, so.
Oh, I promise you, we'll get pictures of his drinks. I promise.
Hang about, you're on a diet, but you're drinking this evening. You're drinking. What was it?
Right now.
White wine.
Water.
No, don't try. We saw the Morrison's white wine. Sorry,
Morrison's white wine. Yeah, what are we doing
now?
Yes. Yes, Phil. That is.
Yes,
I believe that is what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Oh, Michael said they had it on the Spurs website. Okay, that's passed us all by then. Okay,
yeah, sure did. I missed that. Okay,
cool. So, Cess. No, we're not talking about the Cess one. I misunderstood, Phil. We're obviously talking about the Olympiacos game. So thanks very much for everyone for watching. Please like, subscribe. If you're watching afterwards, give us a comment. It really helps the channel. Please do check Sean's channel out. It's brilliant. His little walks around the countryside with his dog, where he gives us his views on stuff. Before we go, Steve, so the accounts have to be filed in 2 days. Normally, the club, before they appear on Company's House, the club do put a statement up. What do you think we're actually going to come out? We're hoping for a win on Saturday before we publish profits on Sunday or something?
I don't know. I think that's a bit too deep. That's a bit too conspiracy theory. They have to be submitted to Company's House by the end of the 31st, so 9 months after year end. So Company's House this time of year is busy, so they could be on the website in a week, Company's House website in a week, and Spurs may follow suit, but we'll see. I think it'll be an interesting set of accounts, so for me at least. Probably not for anybody else other than Sean.
I've personally taken advantage of this several times when I haven't had my my numbers up to scratch for my own businesses. You can extend the deadline with Company's House by 90 days if you need to. And like I say, I personally have taken advantage of that many times because I'm completely completely disorganized. So there's a chance that it won't come out by by Monday.
I mean, there's no way.
Key, they can change their accounting reference period so the year end by one day, and then I think they've got another how many months to submit. But I'm sure we wouldn't do that.
Yeah,
I mean, given they have to do accounts for PSR and FFP, I know it's slightly different reporting, but they have to have the numbers sort of there, don't they, to a certain degree?
and that's by June 30th.
Yeah.
So the
it's for the financial year
is June 30th, then they have to hand those into the Premier League by December the 31st of 2024.
Yeah, but that's for the year ending 30th of June, which is our financial year, isn't it? So I don't know. I suspect that most of the clubs have come out. Obviously, Chelsea haven't come out yet. I mean, I've seen Wrexham's today. Wrexham, a £5 million loss, which the two American owners have, Canadian and American owners have pumped in themselves as loans from their company. So it'll be interesting to see how Wrexham go as they go through the leagues. But anyway, thanks, Steve, for joining us.
Very welcome. Had a good time.
Have a good day tomorrow. Are you going to get some Ange cam tomorrow?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, it's over the 8,500 subs.
That's all I do at games, isn't it? Wave my phone around in the tunnel club, apparently calling somebody.
Sean, thanks for coming on, mate. It's been great. Have your third appearance or second?
I think it's my third. Yeah. But always fun, John. It's great to chat with you guys, Stevie, Jack. Appreciate it. Appreciate everyone in the chat. Have a wonderful weekend, and
go and hit Sean's channel, subscribe here, and then go and subscribe there. Happy days. He's got a non-Spurs channel as well, so follow that. What's that one called, Sean?
Yeah, Sean Butler TV. It's more about finance in sport, finance in football.
Oh, really?
All that stuff.
Ooh, I'll give that a go.
Then I'm a big fan of that topic. That is my hobby, so I will definitely check that out, Sean. I love getting into the finance. Most of the people in our group are not other than Steve, are not as enamored with the numbers, but I enjoy that. I actually read a lot about that.
It's a drug to me. I love it. I love talking about it. It's fantastic.
Yeah. Well, I'm always up for that conversation, just anytime.
Mate, just hit subscribe.
Thank you, mate. Appreciate that. It's a new channel. It's a fledgling channel. I think it's got 2,000 subs or something. But
I'm going on there now.
Good stuff. Yeah. So we'll try and get some sort of account show out between me, Stevie, and Jack somehow in the next week. We are going to be back Monday.
Well, maybe we can bring Sean on for that.
Well, maybe if Sean's free, we'll try and get him on as well. Or if we'll try and jump on with you, Sean, if we can make things work.
Yeah, I'd love to get you guys on my channel. Yeah, I haven't had you guys on mine, so love to organise that. Be great. But yeah, I'll come back on yours as well. Anytime you want, just let me know. I'll be here.
Yeah. To be fair, you have asked me, but it's just about lining up all the ducks and everything. We're back Monday doing a review of Luton, preview of West Ham. Brendan will be here Tuesday night doing instant reaction, and Jack's going to be here with whoever we get on next Friday. And on that note, I'm just going to say thanks, guys, and thanks, Jack, obviously, as well. And come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.